turning to Labour now, Rupa Huq, MP, Labour MP for Ealing Central and Acton. I mean, surely Labour should be welcoming these proposals because they're very similar to what Labour floated at the last general election.
Well, look, I do agree with you, Aisha. Lots of things that have happened since this crisis. I mean, nationalising railways, financial stimulus, even the idea, hell, of free broadband doesn't look as outlandish as it did in December, when we know that a lot of school kids couldn't access some of the online learning that their teachers had dreamt up for them because they didn't have the kit and the technology to do it. But I think Lee's right that this is actually a leak, isn't it? So, I mean, we don't really know what it is. I don't know if this is some sort of Conservative double, triple bluff thing, because it's turning on the tap rather than a leak. So they've given it to their two favourite papers, the Tory Graph and the Sunday Times. So we don't know exactly what it is. But I mean, yeah, you're dead right that sort of in our manifesto last time, we looked at increasing capital gains tax, some of these things, corporation tax, but to keep them lower than they'd been in 2010. So, yeah, a lot of stuff. I mean, remember, the Mayism was basically nicking a lot of Ed Miliband policies, things like energy price cap, junk food ban, all those sort of things, bits more of devolution. Mayism seemed to be borrowing bits of Ed Miliband's manifesto, which I think you might have had a hand in, Aisha. Was it your day when it was Ed Miliband?
In a very, very former life. I do have to say I had nothing to do with the bacon sandwich. That was not my responsibility. Just have to really cannot state that enough on the record.
My parents would say that's what happened if you eat pork.
Exactly. But it's interesting because on the economy, it's interesting how it's argued, the Labour Party, certainly like lots of people around Corbyn, are arguing that the Conservatives are taking lots of their policies, but at some point Labour's going to have to start fleshing out where it stands on the economy, and we haven't really had very much from the Labour Party on that. There was a bit of a skirmish around wealth taxes a couple of weeks ago. Isn't it time for Labour to start putting something on the table in terms of, because the economy does always become the biggest issue at any election?
Yeah, it was the Bill Clinton thing, wasn't it? It's the economy, stupid. But then we've got an election that's not going to be till 4 years from now. So I mean, it'd be daft to completely write the Labour tax policy for the next manifesto now. I mean, I think our position is really that you can't tax your way out of this crisis or, spend your way out of this crisis, really, because there's mixed messages about, cut services out of this crisis. I don't know. It's not clear exactly what we will get in this budget. But I mean, things like productivity, growth, investment have all been on a downer. So it's time. We've got borrowing at a historic low. So, I think some of these ideas we're not averse to, and we've been a constructive opposition. So we've not poo-pooed everything. So where necessary, we will support the government.
Well, it may be jobs. That's been the sort of mantra for the Labour Party. I mean, the fact that lots of jobs are going in city centres. We've just had Pret a Manger making that announcement. We've had lots of other kind of high street retailers announcing huge job losses as well because of city centres. Surely the government's right to be trying to encourage people to get moving again for the economy.
People do want to go back to work. I mean, I have constituents who, representing a London seat, they're kind of in shared housing, those This Life type of households. And when they're doing Zoom calls or whatever, there's no communal space in the house. They're doing it with the washing machine in the background. And so, if you've got space to work from home, it's only certain jobs that it allows those. It can be a sort of lifestyle choice for people, I guess, like ourselves.
Yeah.
Other people who've been in frontline jobs in warehousing, Uber driving, public transport, cleaners, those kind of people don't have the choice. So, I mean, I do sometimes wonder what world this government's living in when it makes its pronouncements. It's a mixed picture. People shouldn't be pressured, and that's what seems to be happening at the moment. We're missing the test, track and isolate strategy. And if people don't feel that that they don't feel confident that they're in a COVID secure workplace, it looks like, they're threatening people. And that's completely outrageous. And they do seem a bit behind the curve on some of these things, because certain companies, I think PwC, the accountancy company, Schroders as well, they've said, and Google and Twitter have said that they want to rethink the rule book, that we need more flexible ways of working. And we keep being told that we're going to have a new normal. A lot of these big companies are saying they will allow people to work from home after this. So it seems a bit odd that the government is forcing people back into offices. And it reminds me of, those slogans people made: go to work, stay at home, take public transport, don't take public transport. That they're kind of trying to save their mates at Pret a Manger. I mean, but I think it should be on a case-by-case basis. You look at what the workplace is, you look at the needs of the individual. People should be able to go back to work if they want to, but they shouldn't be pressured into it.
Rupert, if I could start with you. I mean, good news for the Labour Party, this 26-point gap that it's closed. But do you think this is real? Do you think it will last? Do you think it will hold?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. There's been 237 polls where the Tories were ahead, and now we've got one where we're drawing level, and I'm hoping that we'll overtake now, when sort of people see how chaotically this crisis has been handled from beginning to what we don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah. And what are you looking for from Keir Starmer? What do you want him to do in this term? What do you think he should go on at Prime Minister's Questions, for example, on Wednesday?
I mean, gosh, I can't see beyond tomorrow. Who knows what will have happened by Wednesday? But he needs to be doing more of the same. So, I mean, the Conservatives seem to be tearing chunks out of each other. You've got a Chancellor who's clearly on manoeuvres. He's got his own sort of signature, literally his autograph and his signature policy, the £10 off everyone's dinner. Never before was a policy so associated with one.
To be fair, it's been quite a popular policy, to be fair. It's quite a good policy to be associated with.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed eating my way around my seat. And also I was in Scotland last week, made use of it there. But I mean, look, it's a bit of a gimmick. We need to concentrate on the real issues at hand. And the word forensic, I know, is very overused with our leader, but he needs to carry on doing that, dissecting them, exposing them for what they are. And some of the lines Boris Johnson, we're always told to say, used on him, more flip-flops than Bournemouth Beach. I mean, that's a horribly come back to haunt him one. I'm losing track of all these U-turns. There's been so many.
Yes, well, it has been, as I said yesterday, sometimes one felt there were so many U-turns, the government needed a reverse sort of beeping.